G'day guys, it's good to see you again. This is I Read Reddit, and today I'm going to be reading some entitled parent stories. If you're new to the channel, then welcome. I upload here daily, and if you've got the fear of missing out, then you better smash that subscribe button and turn on bell notifications. Now pull up a chair and get comfy, you're going to love this one. I'm a nanny. This week there was a teacher work day, so I took my kids, ages 4 and 6, to the local children's museum. I repeat, children's museum. It was Stroller City, because what do kids ride around in? Strollers. Here is the cast of characters: entitled mum, entitled mum's daughter of roughly 7 years old, baby's mum, baby of maybe 6 to 7 months. Here goes the story. The Children's Museum has a concession area where you can get a selection of snacks. I purchased each of my kids a granola bar and apple juice, and we sat down at a table near the register to eat our food. A few minutes after sitting down, I witnessed the entitled mother berate this sweet young mum. In the line, there was baby mama with her jogging stroller and sleeping baby. Directly behind her was the entitled mum and the entitled daughter of roughly 7 years. The entitled mum looks at the baby mama and says, "Hey, can you move your stroller so that my daughter can stand closer to the front of the line?" "Oh no, I'm sorry, I need to keep my stroller and baby with me. But since the stroller is with me, it doesn't affect your place in line." "Your stroller is keeping my daughter from getting closer to the front. Just move it out of the line." "I'm sorry, I can't do that. I need to keep my stroller with me." And then, entitled mother picks up the stroller with the sleeping baby in it and drops it outside of the line area. Obviously, the baby wakes up and starts screaming. "Excuse me, why did you do that? That's my baby." "Why did you bring your baby here? This is the Children's Museum, not the Baby's Museum." The baby mama, now holding the crying baby, says, "There are lots of things for her to do here. There's an entire infant area and she enjoys the water exhibit." Then it was time for the baby mama to order. She ordered a bottle of water, yogurt parfait, and a chocolate chip cookie. Entitled mother says to her, "You can't take the last chocolate chip cookie. My daughter wants it, and your baby can't even eat food yet." "What? I have a bottle for my daughter. The cookie is for me. I'm certain that they'll bring out more fresh cookies in a minute." "Chocolate chip cookies are children's food. You can't eat the last cookie. My daughter really wants it." The baby mama ignored her because at this point, she was trying to balance a crying baby on her hip and digging out her wallet from her diaper bag. At this point, another woman walked up to her and offered to help her holding the baby. The baby mama paid, then turned around to take her baby back, where the entitled mother started yelling about the dang cookie again. The baby mama looked at the entitled daughter, and after she had paid for the cookie to eat herself, graciously handed the entitled daughter with a nice, "Here you go, sweetie." Then the baby mama went to pull the stroller away from the register. This is when the entitled mama stuck her foot out in the path of the stroller, for literally no legitimate reason, and after the baby mama had purchased a cookie for the entitled daughter. Baby mama says, "Excuse me, ma'am, can you please move your foot?" "Don't you dare run over my foot. I'm trying not to. Can you please move your foot so I can roll my stroller away?" The entitled mother refused to move. So, with her one hand free, the baby mama physically lifted the stroller over the entitled mama's foot. With a lot of effort, she made it to an open table and was eventually able to rock her baby back to sleep. The concession stand put out fresh chocolate chip cookies roughly 15 minutes later, as my kids were finishing their snack, so I bought 2 cookies for baby mama and she was so grateful. For some context, I'm a 17-year-old male and I work at a Segway tour company. It's actually really fun. I get to ride Segways around the city and talk to people, and I get paid to do it. Plus the tipping isn't too bad. So anyway, there was a tour booked a couple of days ago, and I came in about 20 minutes early to answer emails and get everything ready. The group shows up, mother and daughter, and that's when things get interesting. I'm not going to insult your intelligence by telling you what the entitled parent and me stand for, but Dear's daughter and FBI is the Federal Bureau of Investigation, just for some useful info. The entitled parent and daughter come in, and I check them in. I say to them, "Alright, I have some waivers for you to sign." Daughter, how old are you? 16? Okay then, you don't need to sign a waiver. I ask this because if kids are younger than 18, their parents sign the waivers for them. But the entitled parent only heard me say the first part, not when I said the daughter didn't need to sign a waiver, so she thought I was just asking her daughter how old she was. This is probably what started it all. We go on the tour, and while I'm giving my spiel, the entitled parent keeps interrupting me to tell me stuff about the daughter and find if we are compatible. And so this non-profit organization opened in, are you in college? Ha, no, I'm a junior in high school. I'm usually pretty free with info about myself on tours because it helps keep people relaxed and initiates conversations during lulls in the tour. Plus, it helps with tipping. Entitled parent says, oh, my daughter is also a junior. Oh, she's an artist. Stuff like this keeps happening throughout the tour, and every time the daughter gets redder and redder. My mum does this too, where she just tells random mall attendants about me. So I know what the daughter is going through and I feel her pain. At the end of the tour, I tell the two of them that they have 15 minutes to go around the town and they can meet me at the back of the Segway place. I get back and start getting things set up for their return. They roll in, pardon the pun, and I take their Segways to start charging them. The entitled parent says to me, so what do you think of my daughter? Pardon me, what? I saw you checking her out during the tour. You gonna ask her out? Mom, stop! Ma'am, I recently just got out of a relationship, and I'm really not looking into anything right now. What? What? Is my daughter not good enough for you? No, that's not it. I just said that I just got out of a relation. You are going to date my daughter, and that is final. You can't tell me what to do, I'm not your kid. And if I don't want to date your daughter, I don't have to. Besides, you haven't even asked if she wants to date me. Yeah, I don't want to date him. See? I'm going to call your boss and tell him about your terrible customer service. You're never going to work in this city again. I pull my phone out and say, alright, you want to call him and explain the situation? How you trying to force me to date your daughter and get me fired for saying no? Then, I guess the absurdity of the situation finally sunk in, and her face transitioned from pure rage to slight confusion. Wait, maybe I don't want to. No, let's call him. I start going through my contacts and press my boss's name. Let's have this conversation. I don't think that's a good idea. Phone starts ringing. Daughter, let's go. The entitled parent runs out the door. The daughter turns to me and says, I'm sorry, and then follows her mum. I hang up the phone before my boss answers and start cleaning the Segways. I have some more stories from my work. Y'all tell me if you want to hear more. Where's the FBI in this story? This all started 20 years ago. At this point, I was in 3rd grade, and we suddenly get a new student, which we'll call Cece. Cece started attending our school in the middle of the school year, and as you'd expect, he's quite shy from the new environment. Our school was a private school, and didn't have that many students. As such, the teachers were very attentive towards us. Some roughhousing did happen from time to time, but physical bullying was a big no-no, which would involve the parents of both parties and the director of the establishment. So we were taught to all be friends and bar some mild unfocused bullying from some of the other kids. Small children are horrible, I understand. Nothing bad ever happened. Back to our boy Cece. He was shy, as we already stated, but the class welcomed him, and by the end of the first week, he was already playing tag with us, and everybody was cool with him. I spent a lot of the time with him. I don't remember why, or what we'd talk about, but he was seated next to me, and we'd have a good time, as kids do, playing tag and football. I used to bring everyone to my place, and eventually Cece was up. That day, my best friend from the neighborhood where I live happened to come over. Everything got real tense. Happens that my friend knew him. He told me that Cece was a huge liar and that he'd been expelled from his school. I didn't believe him, even though he was my best friend at the time, since he too had a nasty habit of lying his teeth out. He used to tell me that he had Pokemon Silver and would always forget to bring it over. I still cry at night because of this. I was really looking forward to playing Silver that one time. The day went by without a fuss, and we managed to have fun despite my friend not liking Cece. The day after, Cece's mother, let's call her Mrs. C, called my house and told my mother that her son had been beaten by me. Both at school and then at my place. My mother has always been one for lying low and was thoroughly infuriated at me. I was slapped a few times and grounded for the rest of the day, even though my father had been keeping an eye on us and was on my side. Apparently, the woman made such a fuss on the phone that my mother just didn't care. I then confronted Cece, who didn't have the foggiest clue on what I was going on about, and my 8-year-old self, having the attention span of a goldfish, quickly made up with him the next day. This incident happened twice more with the same result. The woman would also phone our house on random occasions and slander me and my mother on the phone, which would spark violent reactions from my mother. At this point, I had totally given up on spending any time with Cece, both during class and recess. I was also seated on another spot. The teacher probably also noticed that there was something strange going on, or had probably been asked by Mrs. C in a parent-teacher conference. There was a fourth and final time where Mrs. C called, cursing our existence, because her precious baby was all bruised. My father decided it was enough, and told my mother to not worry about it. He went to the police, and then to C's house. Turns out Cece was as healthy as he could be, and Mrs. C had a history of making the police come to her house. The calls stopped, the school year ended, and a new one began. A new kid joined us, K. He was tall and bulky, and freaking intimidating for a 9-year-old. But most of all, he was a great guy. We quickly became friends, and K quickly befriended CC. In a turn, I quickly reignited our friendship, and the three of us were best of pals. At some point, K stopped talking to Cece. I can only guess that Cece or his mother were back to their usual antics. The year eventually ended, and K left the school. The next year, though, is where the beef is at. I was still wary of Cece's behavior, and stopped talking to him beyond the bare minimum required. We had recess with the older kids, and they wanted the ball for the football pitch 8 out of 10 times. So, we were relegated to playing stuff like tag, hide and seek, rock, paper, scissors, and the like. Our game of tag had a little extra rule. The place where we used to play had a fence, which had a small step. If you stand on the step, then you're clear. You could not stand on the safe zone for over 10 seconds. We counted those aloud, so it was anywhere between 10 or way too much time in the clear. The girls also brought the brilliant concept of trying to kick whoever was trying to tag you when you stood in the safe zone. This was mainly there so that you could steer clear and give a bit of room so that you could dash out of the safe zone. Consider it as giving a leg's worth of space. The teachers didn't like this, but it was within the acceptable boundaries. So here we go. CC was it. He had been kicked a few times by now and was still laughing and trying to get someone. He starts rushing for me, and I dashed for the fence, got in the clear, and before I started counting, he gets as close to me as physically possible. Naturally, I did the thing and started raising my leg. With the little space I had, instead, lightly kneed him on the upper leg. Guy stumbles down and starts crying as if he'd been seriously beaten. The teacher comes over, calms him down, and tells me to come with her. I was scared crapless, since he and I had a history. I still remember my teacher going up the stairs saying, "This is going to be very complicated." We got to the classroom. She told me to sit down on my desk and do my homework. In the meantime, she was smoking near the window while looking outside and keeping her eyes on the kids of our classroom. The principal comes in. Oh crap, God, I'm in trouble now. They talked next to the window. At some point, my teacher just burst a, "Look at that!" out of nowhere. The semestral parent-teacher conference was about to happen in a week. My mother attended. When she came back, she gave me a silent treatment, and I thought my grades had gone down. The next day, Cece was nowhere to be seen, and everybody was giving me a strange look. Some even asked me if it was okay for me to be here, which confused me quite a bit. After a week, Cece came back, attended classes for a day like normal, and was never seen or heard from again. I still don't know what happened. My mother had been angry at me for causing a scene for the whole week, and refused to talk to me. I was later told that Cece had been expelled. Whenever his father attended meetings, everything was chill, but Mrs. C had been asking for mine and a number of other students' removal from the school for the 3 years Cece had attended the school. When confronted at the last conference, she was being extremely vocal about it, and the director told her that whatever fabrications she or Cece were making were just that, fabrications, as they had observed him for a while and his stories did not fit. She apparently at some point pointed to my mother and told the teacher, "I want you to do something about her child, you jerk." The director promptly gave Cece a week of detention and asked for him to stop attending our school. He was given 1 day to say goodbye. And as you can guess it, he didn't. This is from the summer of 2018. My father travelled for business for 15 years or so, and he had racked up an insane amount of miles, in the high 100,000s. But early in 2018, he decided to quit and start his own business, and being the amazing dad he is, decided to give me all his miles for my birthday. He set the standard pretty damn high for birthday presents. Anyway, I decided to visit my grandparents in rural India, so I booked a first-class ticket through Lufthansa. It would be my first time flying first class, and I was pretty giddy. This is where it gets interesting. Cast is entitled parent, child, me, and steward. A few weeks later, I'm at the gate waiting to board, and I notice a mother and her child, also waiting for the same flight. The stewards finally announce that it's time to board, and, like the crazy animals we are, all of us rush to the gate. The stewards get ticked, and tells everyone to sit back down, and then announce they are only letting in first class and parents/guardians with children to board first. I go and wait in line and notice that the entitled parent and child are standing beside me in the other line. Side note for the next part, I don't look very old. In fact, I have a baby face. I easily look 6 to 7 years younger than I really am. The line was moving slowly because there was an issue with the scanner. The parent looks at me and starts talking. Why are you in the first class line? Because I'm in first class, why else? You must be in the wrong line. You see, first class is not for people like you. You better sit down and wait to be boarded. I paid to be in first class. That's impossible! Look at you! At that point, I arrived at the counter and they scanned my ticket. Welcome, Mr. XXXXXX. Go through this corridor and the attendee for your deck will escort you to your seat. Just hearing that made me feel excited, lol. The entitled parent now realizes my ticket was legit. He stole it. That was my ticket, and he took it from my bag. Just look at him. Does he look like he bought it? Me and the steward look at each other in disbelief. We just had that look like, is she serious? The child clearly hated what was happening and kept telling his mum to stop. The child says, "Can you please stop? Everyone's looking," crying in brackets. I'm telling you, he took it, and look, he's made my kid cry. The whole situation was just so sad. I felt bad for the kid having a parent like that. I continued on my way and enjoyed the flight. I was told that they were never let on board because she had apparently called me some racial slurs. Some backstory. I'm in a D&D group with a couple of friends from nearby, and one of the members of the group was a kid who was about 15 years old. He's a really sweet kid, likes helping other people out, and he's a big fan of Dungeons & Dragons. He also has cancer in both his lungs. He's from a very religious family that basically forces him to act pure while he's in their sight. The mum is WBC level rabid, while the dad is just a sensible person who just tries to get him to be a good kid. When he's out of sight of his parents, he just does normal teen stuff. Because of his mum, the only books he was allowed to own were Christian books and Bibles. He joined our group mainly as a way to escape his home life, and his mum. A couple of weeks ago, the cancer in his lungs started to get to him, so he was taken to a hospital by his parents. He contacted me about a day after he was taken to the hospital, stating that he wanted a monster manual as his last wish, stating that he was tired of reading the same things. I bought him the book from Barnes & Noble, but considering that he was a dying teen, I got him Volo's Guide to Monsters and Mordenkainen's Tomes of Foes, stacked on top of that. The next day, which was his birthday, he was still in the hospital, so I brought him the books as a gift. After he blew out the candles, we had cake, and he started opening gifts. Mine was the first to be opened. Seeing what they were, he immediately got this humongous grin on his face and hugged me. Meanwhile, his mum stared down at the books with a look of pure disgust, with her husband staring at her with this wary look in his eyes. She picks up one of the books and relights one of the candles and holds the damn book over it and sets it on fire. I managed to stop her and demand, "What the fudge are you doing? He asked me to get those books and I'm not going to let you take them away." His mum simply stared me down and said something along the lines of the books being sinful, satanic, and full of evil, and that her son had no business with them. I retort and say that her son can read whatever he wants and that she shouldn't have to force him to be Christian. She starts getting red in the face and yelling at me about essentially forcing children to believe in God from a young age. I state that I'm a Baptist, which I actually am, and then say that faith in God is a matter between God and the individual. She turns red all over and actively starts trying to destroy the books, with me, my friend, and her husband trying to stop her. At one point I shouted, "Would God want you to do this? To restrict your son's dying freedom of expression?" Right in her face. This just sets her fudging ablaze. She tosses the book aside and starts trying to strangle her son, and her husband calls security immediately when she does this. Security gets here within about a minute or two of us trying to pry the entitled mother of her son and drag her away, with her shouting that we're all catamites of the devil. Both her husband and my friend charge her with child abuse, assault, and attempted murder. Trial's still going. I'll try and update this post as the trial goes on. So to start off with, where I live, there is a great park at the bottom of my road, so every day I take my dog down to play. On this particular day, we decided to go down to the park after a nearby nursery had finished, and naturally, all the children wanted to play with my dog, and is naturally very popular, but it's great because he loves children. And whilst he's playing, I notice a woman who is the entitled parent trying to put a lead on him. So who I'll refer to as M for the rest of the story, goes up to her, and this is how the conversation went. Excuse me, who are you trying to put a lead on my dog? Oh, well, he's off his lead and I figured he was abandoned, so I thought I'd take him home with me. Wait, what? I have his lead right next to me and I'm literally 2 feet away from him, so can you take the lead off him now? My daughter loves him, so why not just let him take him with us? We have another one of the dogs anyway, a husky. Look, lady, you can't take other people's dogs just because you want to. Oh, I want this dog, and I'm going to take him home, and he doesn't deserve an owner like you who would just abandon him at the drop of a hat. You can't be serious, right? I'm literally taking him for a play in the field. What are you talking about? I'm going to breed him with my own husky, and he'll have a happy life with me, so just give him to me already. Are you bloody insane? No! You cannot take my dog. If you want to breed your dog, then buy another dog to breed it with, not mine. Other parents and children are around me, and I figured if I leave, she'll just rant and rave to herself before going home. So I then go to take the lead off and put mine on, and then exit the dog park. And I thought she'd leave it at that, but oh no! She then follows me back to my house while screaming and ranting that I've stolen her dog and shouting for help. This was so shocking to me that I literally froze for a few seconds before I continued walking back to my house and went inside only to have her banging furiously at my door, demanding I give her dog back and that I don't deserve an animal and a few other random insults that I can't quite remember. Eventually, I opened the door and explained that if she doesn't leave my property, I will call the police. And after screaming and shouting a bit more, she eventually realizes that I'm being serious and leaves. Phew! All over. Well, not exactly. A couple of days later, I receive a visit from the RSPCA, stating that I have a dog that is extremely malnourished and was being abused, so they asked to see the dog. Of course, I allow them to inspect him, and the person literally says to me that he is in perfect health and that he's a lovely dog, or breed. I thank him, and he leaves and says nothing further will happen in this case. Thank God. Side note, after retelling the story, it only just dawned on me that this lunatic had a dog lead with her and no dog, so I seriously hope her dog was at home. I know this was a bit hard to pin on her, but it's just too coincidental to me considering the entitled parent followed me back to my house. Anyways, thanks for reading. If anyone has any questions, I can try to answer ASAP. Hey guys, I read Reddit here. For more juicy content just like that, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.